2 games, 6 goals conceded, and the Premier League season is 2 weeks away. Sunday afternoon at the Emirates, over 60,000 in the stands. A brand new marquee signing paraded on the pitch. And then, for the second time in 4 days, Arsenal's defence fell apart. Borussia Dortmund came to North London and left with the Emirates Cup, beating Arsenal 3-2 in a 5-goal thriller that was equal parts entertaining and alarming. It follows the 3-1 defeat to Real Betis on Wednesday. 2 pre-season matches, 6 goals shipped, and a growing list of questions Mikel Arteta needs to answer before Coventry arrive on the opening night of the Premier League. But before the panic sets in, and it will, there's nuance here. There are genuine reasons to worry. There are also genuine reasons for optimism, and the full picture only makes sense when you break down what actually happened on that pitch. Subscribe and hit the bell if you want every update ahead of Arsenal's 2026-27 title defence. And let me know in the comments, are you worried about this backline? The details. Emirates Cup 2026. Pre-season friendly. Emirates Stadium, London. Kick-off, 2 p.m. local time, Sunday, August 9th, 2026. Referee, Chris Kavanagh. Final score, Arsenal 2-3 Borussia Dortmund. A post-match penalty shootout, arranged in advance as a training exercise, was won 5-4 by Arsenal. Arsenal lined up in a 4-3-3, Kepa in goal, Ben White, Christian Mosquera, Gabriel Magalhaes, and Riccardo Calafiori across the back. Miles Lewis-Skelly, Martin Ødegaard as captain, and Kai Havertz in midfield, with Max Dowman, Victor Gyökeres, and Christos Tzolis in attack. Dortmund set up in a 3-4-2-1 under Niko Kovac. Alexander Meyer in goal, João Guimarães, Filippo Mane, and Rami Bensebaini in a back three. Daniel Svensson, Felix Mmecha, Joe Bellingham, and Maxi Bayer across midfield, with Konstantinos Karetsas and Samuele Inacio behind a central striker. First half. Dominant but punished. It started exactly the way you'd expect. Arsenal came out pressing, controlling possession, pinning Dortmund back from the opening whistle. In the second minute, Ødegaard whipped in a corner that deflected off Filippo Mane's head and flew toward the top corner. But Meyer produced a sharp save, tipping the ball over the bar. The next corner was punched clear. Arsenal were swarming. They looked the better side by a distance. And then they got caught. Minute 7. Felix Mmecha won possession in midfield and threaded a precise through ball to Samuel Inacio. The young Portuguese forward burned past Christian Mosquera, got in behind and finished calmly into the bottom left corner. 1-0 Dortmund. Far too easy. Mosquera was beaten clean. The kind of defensive lapse Arteta will not tolerate once the real stuff begins. Arsenal didn't flinch. Ødegaard began dictating the tempo with more urgency, constantly probing the channels between Gyökeres and Havertz. On 15 minutes, a sequence that deserved more. Havertz found Gyökeres, who laid it off to Ødegaard, and just as the captain shaped to shoot on the edge of the box, he was fouled. Kavanagh initially pointed to the spot, then he reversed the decision. The foul was a matter of centimetres outside the area. Free kick. Gyökeres struck it over the bar. Arsenal kept coming. Ødegaard played a gorgeous long ball to release Havertz down the right, but his cross was too close to Meyer. Another move down the left. Ødegaard lofting the ball to Havertz, the cutback finding Gyökeres, but the Swede's header drifted wide of the far post. Then came the moment that should have changed everything. Minute 26. Max Dowman, 16 years old, straight out of the Hale End Academy, skinned Maxi Bayer with a piece of skill that had no business being in a pre-season friendly. He drove down the right flank and delivered a pinpoint cross to Gyökeres. The striker swivelled, hit it clean. The ball crashed off the crossbar and bounced away. 60,000 people grabbed their heads at exactly the same time. It deserved a goal. It didn't get one. And while Arsenal were pouring forward, Dortmund struck again. Minute 29, Calafiori, a player Arsenal rate extremely highly, gave the ball away in a central area. Disastrous. Konstantinos Karetsis pounced. The 18-year-old Belgian-Greek sensation, fresh from his move to Dortmund, drove at the defence, cut inside onto his left foot, and curled a stunning strike into the top left corner. 2-0. Maya didn't need to move. The ball was in the net before anyone could react. It was Karetsis' debut goal for Borussia Dortmund, and he'd chosen an absolutely spectacular way to announce himself. On 32 minutes, Ødegaard was withdrawn, as planned, given he'd only recently returned from World Cup duty with Norway and needed his minutes managed. Nwaneri came on. The creativity in midfield dropped immediately. The final minutes of the half saw Arsenal still pushing. Tzolis delivered two dangerous free kicks in succession. The first met by Gabriel, whose header sailed over. The second by Havertz, whose effort was too central and gathered comfortably by Maya. Right before the break, Gabriel Magalhães picked up a yellow card for a foul on Karetsis. Half-time. 0-2. Arsenal had been the better team in terms of chances created and territory, but Dortmund had been clinical, and Arsenal's defence had gifted them both goals. The story of the afternoon, really. Second half. The chase. Two changes at the break. Illan Meslier replaced Kepa in goal for Arsenal. Dortmund withdrew Karetsis, job done and done beautifully, and sent on Carney Chukwuemeka. Dortmund nearly made it 3 inside the opening minutes. Nmecha unleashed a curling effort from outside the box that shaved the top of the right-hand post, inches away. At the other end, Ben White picked up a pass from Dowman and hit a low shot that Maya pushed into the side netting. Arsenal were probing, but they needed a spark. Minute 54. They got one. Christos Tzolis, the Greek winger who has been the breakout performer of this pre-season, swung in a cross from the left. Nwaneri met it with a composed finish. 1-2. The Emirates erupted. It was the third consecutive pre-season match in which Tzolis had been directly involved in a goal, either scoring or assisting. The man from Club Brugge is making a serious case for himself. But the momentum lasted exactly 4 minutes. Minute 58. A Dortmund corner created chaos inside the Arsenal box. Meslier parried the initial effort, but the ball fell loose. Calafiori couldn't clear. Bodies everywhere. And in the scramble, Joan Gadou, Dortmund's young French centre-back, prodded the ball home. 1-3. A farcical goal. Sky Sports called it exactly that. No one in Arsenal's defence took ownership of the situation, and the ball ended up in the net almost by default. Arteta responded immediately. On the hour mark, Piero Hincapié and Marley Salmon replaced Gabriel and Calafiori. The chase resumed. Nwaneri collected a pass from Tzolis on the edge of the area and bent a curling shot toward the far corner. But Maya stretched to push it onto the post. Outstanding save. Minute 69. Another twist. Tzolis, drove into the box and was brought down by Jobe Bellingham, Jude's younger brother, currently with Dortmund. Kavanagh pointed to the spot. Guimarães stepped up. Cool as you like. Bottom right corner, 2-3. The game was alive again. Arsenal threw everything at it. In the 77th minute, Arteta emptied his bench. Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus, Kaidak O'Neill, Ife Ibrahim, Josh Ogunake, Fabio Vieira and Theo Julien all came on, replacing Havertz, Mosquera, White, Tzolis, Guimarães, Nwaneri and Dowman. Virtually the entire 11 was refreshed. 13 minutes plus stoppage time to find an equaliser. They almost did. Minute 90 plus 4. Martinelli played a 1-2 with Jesus, collected the return and slotted into an empty net. The Emirates exploded for about 3 seconds. The linesman's flag was up. Offside. Goal disallowed. And almost immediately, the final whistle blew. Dortmund 3, Arsenal 2. The Emirates Cup stays in Germany. The shootout. Regardless of the 90-minute result, both clubs had agreed beforehand to hold a penalty shootout as a psychological training exercise. Arsenal won it 5-4. Sabitzer opened for Dortmund, bottom left. Jesus equalised, bottom left. Reggiani put Dortmund ahead, bottom left. Fabio Vieira levelled, bottom left. Yamamoto made it 3-2 Dortmund, bottom right. Hincapié drew Arsenal level at 3-3, bottom left. Then Mathis Albert stepped up for Dortmund and Meslier saved it. Still 3-3. Martinelli converted to give Arsenal their first lead, bottom left. Chukwuemeka kept Dortmund alive at 4-4, bottom right. And then Nwaneri stepped up and buried the decisive penalty into the bottom left corner. Arsenal win 5-4. A small consolation, but not the result that matters. What should worry you, and what shouldn't? Let's start with the concerns, because they're real. Arsenal have now conceded 3 goals in back-to-back matches. That hasn't happened since April 2023. The 3-3 draw with Southampton, followed by the 4-1 loss to Manchester City in the match that effectively decided the title. Since December 2023, Arsenal had conceded 3 in 90 minutes only once. The 3-2 defeat to Manchester United back in January. Now, across 2 pre-season fixtures against Betis and Dortmund, they've shipped 6 goals. 3 from shots outside the box, 2 from defensive set pieces. The individual errors are impossible to ignore. Mosquera was outrun by Inacio for the opening goal. Calafiori's giveaway led directly to Cretsis's screamer. The corner that produced Guimarães' goal revealed a complete lack of organisation inside the 6-yard box. And the bigger picture is this. William Saliba is still injured. Jurriën Timber is weeks away from returning with a lingering groin issue. Arsenal's 2 best centre-backs are absent. Declan Rice and Bruno Guimarães, the 2 midfielders who will shield the backline, haven't played a single pre-season minute. The defensive spine of this team simply doesn't exist right now, and the scoreline reflects it. Now for the other side. Christos Tzolis has been phenomenal. 3 direct goal involvements across 3 consecutive pre-season matches. The assist for Nwaneri's goal and winning the penalty that Gyökeres converted. He's mobile, his delivery is sharp, and he plays with the confidence of someone who knows exactly where he belongs. If he maintains this form, Tzolis becomes a genuine rotation option on the left flank this season. Ødegaard played 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And in that brief window, he created more dangerous chances than anyone else managed in 90. The gap between Arsenal with Ødegaard and Arsenal without him remains enormous, which is both a compliment to his quality and a concern about the squad's depth of creativity. Max Dowman is 16, and he's already embarrassing experienced Bundesliga defenders. The skill to beat Bayer, the cross that hit the bar off Gyökeres' shot. This kid has something special. Nwaneri scored a composed goal and looked confident operating as the 10 after Ødegaard's departure. And here's the most important thing to remember. This is pre-season. The entire point is to build fitness, test combinations, and identify problems, not to win trophies. Arteta has seen what's broken. He now has 10 days to fix it before the Community Shield. Next Monday, the full squad reconvenes. Every World Cup player reports back. When Rice, Bruno Guimarães, Saka, Saliba, if fit, and the rest of the internationals return, this will be a completely different team. The Arsenal that lost to Dortmund today and the Arsenal that lines up against Coventry on the opening night of the season will share a badge and a stadium. That's about it. Arteta's verdict. Arteta walked into the press room with a serious expression. We lost the game. I'm obviously not happy. There's a lot to improve. Some players need more match time and rhythm, and that will come. Losing has to hurt, whether it's a friendly, a training match, or whatever you want to call it. We know where we are. We know we're still missing a lot of players and some haven't had enough sessions. Sometimes losing is good. We conceded poor quality goals the other day, poor quality goals today, particularly from a competitive standpoint, but that's a collective responsibility. We need to improve with the players we have, and we want to improve. We certainly will. What's next? Arsenal have one final friendly remaining. Como of Serie A visit the Emirates at 7:30 p.m. on August 12th. Then it gets real. The Community Shield against Manchester City at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff on August 16th. Kick-off at 3 p.m. And after that, the Premier League title defence begins. Coventry City at the Emirates, 8 p.m. August 21st. Dortmund, meanwhile, prepare for the DFL Super Cup against Bayern Munich on August 22nd under Kovac. The Emirates Cup ends with a deserved Dortmund victory. But for Arsenal, this result isn't a crisis. It's a diagnostic. Arteta now knows exactly what needs fixing. A backline that falls apart without its pillars, and an attack that creates enough to win, but can't put the ball in the net often enough. Those are solvable problems, especially when the cavalry is about to arrive. The Arsenal we saw this afternoon is not the Arsenal that will walk out under the lights on the opening weekend. And when that full-strength side finally takes shape, with Bruno Guimarães pulling the strings alongside Rice, with Saka stretching defences, with Saliba marshalling the back line, this team will look nothing like the one that came up short against Dortmund on a warm Sunday afternoon. The pre-season is almost over. The real thing starts now.